this you just saw on your screens that we are recording this. We're recording it because we do have 3 people that wanted to be here today and weren't able to join. And so as I lead off, I will let you know that John and I met yesterday. And if you are listening to this session today and you want to know more, we have decided to open a second information session on Thursday, October 3rd at 12 o'clock. So more information will be coming out about that. So if you do have somebody else you want to bring on, or maybe a manager or a colleague that you think that this would be useful for, just know that that is coming forward. So my name is Marla Smith, and I'm with the AFP Golden Horseshoe chapter. And we have never before done an educational session on leadership giving that is a customized course. And John has put this course together for us, and it is a course that has been done internationally, 10 sessions long. It is a combination of in-person and virtual. And what we wanted to do is take some time today to walk you through that, to give you more information, ask any questions that you might have, and think about people that you know in your networks that might be interested in this session and finding ways about helping them develop their leadership skills along this journey. So I'm going to pass things over to John, and go ahead, John.
Fabulous. Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, wonderful. Marla, thank you for the introduction, and thank you to everybody who has shown up today. It's really awesome to see you. I know that none of you have other things to do with your lives. So the fact that you have dedicated half an hour or so to yourselves is actually really quite meaningful. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. I am going to take you through a little bit of what this whole kind of weird, wacky, purpose-driven leadership journey thing is all about. And I also want to acknowledge Kim and Steph and Christine, who are here, who have been through the program and who have kindly given their time today to show up to be able to speak to it from the experience of somebody who's gone through it. So you don't just have to ask me about it. You can actually ask people who are much wiser than me. And who are going to give you their experience of this as well. I have some slides that I'm going to pop up because we're on Zoom, and why not? So let's do that. For those of you who are, come on, there we go. For those of you who are on Zoom for the first time, which I'm sure is all of you, do know that you don't have to have the slides occupying 90% of the screen. You can drag that little thing across, make the slides smaller and make me bigger, or you can make me even smaller if you want to, which sometimes is not a bad idea. So what is going on here? So I thought we'd start off by asking you a few questions. So I'm going to go through these, and I want you to tell me if any of these sound like you, or if any of these sound familiar. Okay, so are you seeing opportunities to accelerate the growth of your fundraising, but you don't have confidence that your team or the people around you or your infrastructure can deliver on those opportunities? Is anybody seeing that? Give me a nod of a head or a thumbs up. It's like you can see that there's more potential there, but you can't figure out how to get there. Is that, yeah? I'm seeing a couple of nodding heads. Okay, good. Let's look at the next one. Are you feeling the strain of being pulled in 100 directions, Stephanie Brown? Not looking, and Kim's definitely saying yes. Yeah, we're feeling that we're being stretched and pulled, perhaps in ways that we've never been before. Yeah, is it? And it's getting worse. It's not quietening down. It's going the other way. Am I hearing that right? Yeah. Okay. Do nod or gesticulate or make emoji things. I know that there are these emoji things that you can do. I don't know how to like. Anyway, would you love to have more time to focus your energies where you know they could make the biggest impact? Yes. I'm seeing lots of nodding heads there. And have you been struggling over the last few years, particularly since the pandemic, to be able to build and retain a resilient and strong team? Yeah, Tracy's getting very excited about that.
1,000%. Yeah. 1,000,000%.
1,000,000%. Okay, got it. So I'm going to share with you some things that I've observed I've been doing this longer than I would care to admit, and I'll give you a little bit of blurb on me in a minute. But here's something that I've observed. I've observed that almost all fundraisers came into this work because they cared and wanted to move the needle or solve a problem on something. Think back to your own journey into this space. There was something that triggered you to say, I'm going to lean into this nonprofit space, or I'm particularly called to this cause, or I feel that I have the ability to give back and make a difference. Yeah, we're called into this space as fundraisers because we want to move the needle or we want to solve the problem. But as the day-to-day realities take over in our businesses, in our lives, in our organizations, it becomes increasingly difficult to retain that purpose-driven focus. Yeah. The little things, the admin, the HR, the stuff starts to suck the energy and the life force, and it becomes a bit of a challenge to find and carve out the time to do the truly important stuff. And as a result of that, the joy and the fun starts to evaporate. The reason why we came into this in the first place starts to sort of drift somewhere into the background. And we start to wonder where the joy and the fun went, and we start to wonder how we can break those patterns. How could we get back to that? How can we re-inject that kind of energy and inspiration and sense of meaning and sense of purpose that we had, perhaps right at the beginning, or the intention that we had, that just seems to have been lost in a whole barrage of emails and meetings and HR things that we need to worry about and things that wake us up in the middle of the night. Are you aligning? Is this landing? Are you saying this? Are you seeing the same thing? Is this making sense to you?
Absolutely. And John, may I add, if I can, I did the AFP leadership retreat, AFP Canada leadership retreat in Victoria in late July. And this was the focus of, I would say, 90 to 95% of our conversation was how many people are actually removing themselves from leadership positions because of this exact thing. They aren't as attractive as they once were. So this was something that was being felt across the country for sure.
Tracy, thank you for that. Yeah. I think we've reached a moment where, and one of the reasons why I was so excited to talk to Marla and to see how we could bring this work into AFP is because I really think that we are at a tipping point in terms of the sustainability of the way that we're doing things in this sector. Just a very brief word about me. This is not about me, this is about you today, but I started as a fundraiser when I was 14. I have led organizations. I actually created the French version of AFP and then helped roll that out across Eastern and Central Europe. So I've been on the fundraising side. I've led fundraising teams. I've led organizations. I've led organizations that support organizations. And for the last 15 years or so, I've worked at what I like to call the intersection of doing good and making money. I threw some of the companies that I've worked in on there, but I've worked with about 250 organizations in the nonprofit space. Really focused on helping organizations figure out what it is that they stand for and how to use that to be able to create more transformative change. The work that we're going to talk about today, interestingly, you can see here, aligns to the IDGs. I won't spend too long on this, but there was a very smart group of people out of Harvard and a couple of universities in Sweden started to take a look at why we were failing collectively to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And what they concluded was that the biggest challenge to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals was not policy, was not infrastructure, but was actually the soft skills, the leadership capacities of human beings. It's that actually we were trying to do different things with the same mindset. And so out of that was created the Inner Development Goals, the IDGs, which is a framework for the soft skills that we need to be able to lead purpose-driven organizations through the transition that's coming over the next 10, 15, 20 years. I'd invite you to go and have a look at them, but I also want you to know that the purpose-driven leadership journey is aligned to the IDGs, so that by doing the purpose-driven leadership journey, you acquire the skills that are embedded in the IDGs, which are going to become, I think, a fundamental part of what leadership needs to be over the next 10 to 15 years. So, Tracy, I want to come back to what you were talking about. We're in this space where we are stepping away from leadership roles because the burden of leadership is just unsustainable. The truth is, though, that the challenges we're facing in our organizations come from two places. They come from our own patterns of behavior, which are born out of our own limiting beliefs and constructs, and they come from the processes and structures that we create in our teams and organizations, often subconsciously, out of our own patterns of behaviors, limiting beliefs and constructs. Another way of saying this is that you can't change an organization, but you can change yourself. And by changing yourself, you can change your organization. And it's often a quite uncomfortable thing for us to have to look at. But the old kind of adage that charity begins at home, that where we are in our journeys, this is about us first, and we actually have the power and the agency to change the way our organizations work so that we can become more focused on the things that truly matter to us. And as a result, we can create more impact. And the purpose-driven leadership journey is exactly about that. It's about breaking the patterns that are keeping you stuck in this hamster wheel that you're in right now, giving you the tools and the confidence and the clarity to be able to grow, create more impact, use your time better, and move the needle once again. I've seen far too many nonprofit leaders burn out over the last, particularly over the last 5 years. And more often than not, when I've worked with folks, I can tell you that the reason they're burning out is because they have been caught in behavior patterns and belief systems that have led them to that. We can shift those and then support them with a whole bunch of tools that are going to give you the solution to be able to achieve the kind of impact that you want to in a world that is not going to slow down. Yeah, I like to say the world has never moved so fast and it will never move this slowly again. And if we're expecting things to slow down so that we can catch up, that's not going to work. Yeah, we need to figure out a way to get a bigger plate, not just juggle more plates. So this is about who we are in our behavior patterns and how we think, and it's about aligning what truly lights us up, our purpose, with the purpose of our organization. And one of the things that we'll talk about throughout this work is your zone of leadership excellence. Your zone of leadership excellence. That's this unique space where your purpose, the thing that truly gives you meaning and lights you up in the world, aligns with the purpose of the organization that you're working for. And there's a magical space of overlap where those two things overlap and where you are doing your best work, achieving your greatest impact, making a true difference. And the other thing that we'll discover is that most of you are spending a very small percentage of your time in that zone of leadership excellence right now. And we will work together to increase the amount of time that you spend in that space. What else are we going to get up to in this work? Well, we will reconnect you with your purpose. Oh, yeah. How many of us are clear on our life's purpose? Hands up. I love asking that question because very few people put their hands up. So you're going to get clear on what that is, and you're going to get clear on how you align with it. You're going to distinguish the barriers and the patterns that are preventing you from realizing your potential. You're going to create actions and programs as well that are going to reinvigorate your organization's purpose. We'll come back to that. You will create your own personal vision. Yeah, you've all built visions for organizations before. How many of you have a personal vision? Cool. Yeah. And we will look at how you communicate and work with you to help you become more compelling and authentic in your communication style. We'll improve the productivity and the creativity of your teams because I'm going to give you tools that you can then take back into your teams. And most importantly, my hope, my goal, my dream, my purpose here is that you will really fall back in love with your work again. And if it's not in the organization that you're in today, well, perhaps it's in a different organization. Yeah, perhaps when you start to map your zone of leadership excellence and your purpose and your organization's purpose, you realize that it's not quite where you need to be. And that's okay. So there are 3 phases to this work. The first one is what we call the leader phase. And in the leader phase, we'll look at what I call your operating system, which is how you operate as a human being. What are your behavior patterns? And we'll start to really shine a light on some of the things that you get up to that perhaps you don't want to tell other people about. We'll then move into session 2 is about lighting your fire. Lighting your fire is about connecting you to your purpose. Session 3 is about getting you out of your own way because, let's face it, you are your own worst enemy. And if you could only stop sabotaging yourself for a little bit, God, wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. And then we'll look at your own vision in session 4, creating your future. I talk about this idea of the destination on the front of the bus. So we'll get clear on what that destination on the front of the bus is. As we then move into the second phase of this, the communicator phase, this is all about taking what it is that you're up to, your purpose in your vision, and helping you boost your enrollment skills so that you can enroll more and more people into this. One of the things we'll talk about is how you can become this incredible, powerful enroller that starts to bring other people with you, almost like the leader of a movement. And so we'll look at this thing called context. We'll then do some work on CPRs, and I'll let Steph and Christine and Kim in particular comment on CPRs in a minute because they are so much fun. And session 7 is a masterclass where you will do a TED Talk, a mini 5 to 7 minute TED Talk on your purpose, vision, and call to action. What is it that you're up to? Where are you going? Why should we come with you? And you're going to enroll us into those spaces. And in that communicator phase, we'll be looking at things that they don't teach you in business school, but they do teach you in drama school. I call it this notion of resonance, this idea of how do you create and walk into a space and just tap into the energy in that space in a way that people start to turn around and go, who's that person? And what are they up to? And what do they have for breakfast? And how can I be more like them? And then the final section we call the generator. And this is about not just boosting your enrollment skills, but it's also about looking at how do we take ownership and accountability for our own success. This work is a space, it's like a sandbox where we can come and play and try things on. Ultimately, what you choose to do with it is going to be up to you. So we'll build in the notions of ownership and accountability. We'll look at influence and how you can grow your influence as a leader. And then session 10 is the sandbox for reasons that will become clear when you get there. So how does this work? Well, as we talked about earlier, it's a hybrid program. And sessions 1, 4, 7, and 10 will be in person. The first one will happen at National Philanthropy Day. And we'll run the program over 4 months. There is, as you can see, a little QR code on the left-hand side of these slides. That QR code will take you to a web page which has all of the information I've talked about today laid out in there. And it has the dates, and it has everything you need to register. So it's about sessions every couple of weeks, but the exact dates are on that web page. And in addition to the sessions that we'll be doing together in cohorts, you'll get your own personalized workbook. You'll get worksheets and tools and resources and a buddy system where you'll be paired up with somebody and you'll be responsible for checking in with them and making sure that they are doing the work and that you are doing the work and that you're holding each other accountable and that you're really creating something here. So this is the purpose-driven leadership journey. I think it would be a good moment for me to pause and offer the floor to Steph and Christine and Kim, who've been kind enough to come and join us today, to talk about what they got from this and how that might be valuable to you. So, Steph, do you want to kick off?
Sure. This is journey, I guess the program itself is something that we went through in the spring. I came to the position that I'm in coming from a very different background than what the role itself is, and took on a role that didn't necessarily have a lot of framework. So it was an overwhelming role jumping into, and so a huge part of this was, and coming out of this was now working from a position where obviously getting out of my own way was a huge one, and recognizing a lot of strengths that I didn't realize I had, and using those to lead a portion of our department that I didn't know that I could do, and really kind of creating a better workflow for myself, for our whole team. And yeah, we came out of a very busy spring and summer season that very easily, and probably a year ago, would have taken me out and had me walking away from this job, rather than continuing to move forward and looking forward to another season ahead of us.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you. Christine?
There, just unmuting myself. I came into the program because we were doing it over the late winter, I guess, winter into spring. I had finished out the 2023 year incredibly burnt out and just sort of questioning my purpose. What am I doing with my life? Am I in the right place? Am I in the wrong place? And that's why I'm burnt out. But going through the journey, it was an opportunity for me to rediscover a purpose that has sort of been buried under all of the day-to-day, extras that sort of pile on, and just sort of seem never ending. So it was an opportunity for me to refocus and center myself, and dig up that purpose, and also to what John was saying of trying things on. I found when we were talking about contexts of the sort of I guess the role or the I can't come up with the word, but just how you're showing up in your space really has an effect on those around you, and also within your work as well. So that was a good piece. And I also got a lot out of the listening and influencing session as well, where we were talking about authenticity, because I can often get into my head and find it hard to stay in a conversation when I'm constantly thinking and trying to get ahead of things. But being able to tap into my purpose of being compassionate and being a curious person and coming to that authentically meant that all of that noise and buzz was sort of out of my head, and I could have a really strong conversation with a donor, really meaningful one, and step away from that feeling not anxious at all, because I just sort of you just sort of drop into this area of focus, and your brain isn't buzzing. So those were some of the key things for me coming out of it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Christine. Kim?
Well, I can also add that Christine's TED Talk was pretty amazing. And that's one of the things you learn when you're sitting in a session with some of your colleagues, these hidden gems or these little bits of someone's personality that you had no idea about. So it was pretty illuminating. For me, we're busy, we're spinning our wheels, and it made me, and I would say argue our team, time to sit down and reevaluate what your strengths are, and to use those strengths, because what happens is they get buried with the list that you have to get done every day. So finding out what your strengths are, and then everything you do is playing on those strengths, was pretty wonderful. And one of the other things, one of the sessions you're going to go to is CPRs, which is something that we all should do with every task that we have. John will attest to that. If you're having a meeting, you set up a CPR, you decide what is the result of this meeting. You decide that before. I don't want to give anything away with the course, but there's a CPR, and the R stands for results. And you learn to, for every task you do, you decide where you are going to stand in success at the end of this task. It might be a meeting, it might be a project, it might be some discussion with a donor, or it might be just meeting with a colleague that you need to go over some things. But you go into them. How many times have we gone into a meeting where we just go through the motions and we walk out and we say, what did we get done there? We didn't get anything done. So if we went into it knowing what our results should be, it makes it so much more fulfilling. And I find if I take anything away daily is little quick CPRs before some of my tasks during the day, and it's helped immensely to just clarify where I want to be in the end. So little tidbits. Did I give too much away, John?
Not at all, Kim. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the three of you, because what you've done is you've illustrated between the three of you there. Steph, you came into this role and it was overwhelming. And what you were able to realize was that you had something else in you that gave you a level of leadership of the team that you didn't know that you had access to. Christine, you have tapped into something that you weren't aware of, this ability to really get present and get into the space of a donor and create deeper connections and deeper relationships with the donors that you weren't tapping into before. And Kim, you've talked about one of the tools that we'll talk about in this program that helps you become more intentional and helps you become more focused. Because at the heart of all this, now I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. The reason I built this program during the pandemic was because I'd spent a lot of time working with organizations, trying to help leaders in organizations figure out how to become more purpose-driven, how to connect to the things that truly lit them up, and from an organization, how that organization could do good and make money at the same time. And what I found was that we were missing the human element. And I see this so much in the nonprofit space. We miss the human beings. We don't invest in ourselves. We don't invest in ourselves as leaders. Sure, we train people up to be fundraisers, but we don't invest in ourselves. And this program has its fundamentals are in neuroscience and behavior change, and we line up things that I've learned from working with actors and coaches. So we're taking, like, as I say, the stuff they don't teach you in business school, but they teach you in drama school, and a whole bunch of development and leadership things, and we've wrapped them in to try and create this sort of intensive experience. And it was really important to me that I pilot this quietly before bringing it out into the world. So about 250 people went through this program before I even sort of put my head above the parapet and said this thing exists. And I have yet to see somebody go through this and not find something out about themselves that can help them in their journey. And so my purpose is to connect others to theirs. So what I'm doing here is I'm serving my purpose of helping you become more connected to your purpose so that you can achieve more impact in your lives. You can achieve the things that you truly care about, and that you can help your organizations go to the next level, even if you don't have more resources, because you're not going to. And even if you don't have more time, because you're not going to have more time. So this is about starting to shift the way we think about who we are and how we show up as leaders, so that we can create the impact that we know is within us, if we could just get there. And so that's my invitation to you, is to come into the space and play. It's to come into this space and play, because it literally is. It's play. It's try things on, like different hats, different costumes, different ways of being, and see what resonates, see what lands, see what makes an impact, see what inspires others, and see what you are capable of that you didn't know you are capable of. So, and I think, Marla, we agreed yesterday that we have a special offer. Da, da, da. There you go, drum roll and all that sexy stuff.
We have a special offer that you can't see. But first, as part of our thank you for you coming to hear more about the session, listening to Stephanie, Christine, and Kim share about their past experience, we are offering until Friday a reduced rate of $1,250 for anyone who attended today to attend the session. And we're also going to offer a second session on Thursday, October 3rd at 12 o'clock, and more information will be coming out. So I know that you might be thinking in this session many things. How can I afford it? How will I get time off work? How will my boss agree to this? My job isn't one that allows me to do this. All of those sort of things. I would just ask you to sit back, ask for help, tell someone that you are working with what you're looking to do, and see how we can make that happen. I dropped in the chat earlier some scholarships and grants that are available. And, you know, I'll tell you, people don't apply for a lot of these grants. So, you know, consider putting an application in, especially for the AFP Foundation of Canada one. That's $1,000. And it's due September 15th. So just a couple of days. The application itself is quite simple. And the money is sitting there waiting to be given away. So, and you have access to be able to participate. I'd like to thank Jon. This is the first time that this course has been brought to an AFP chapter. And it does not need to be just our Golden Horseshoe chapter. So if you know people in the business world or people in Toronto or London that may be interested in this course, it is available to them as well. And we do need your help in letting others know, because we know it's not just us that are struggling in sort of leadership roles or wanting to be in those leadership roles and the lack of resources we have. And so supporting people is part of our job as fundraisers, right? At the root of what we do is how do we help people? And so this is a neat opportunity that we wanted to bring to fundraisers that we really thought was timely for the needs that you're having right now.
Marla, thank you. I would love to ask everybody to turn off your mute microphone things and turn on your cameras, because I would love to hear from you what landed for you in the last 20 minutes of me rabbiting on. And not just me, obviously. Well, Steph and Christine and Kim didn't rabbit on; they were very eloquent. But what landed for you? What did you hear that sort of started to draw you closer to the screen? And what did you hear that maybe had you sitting back going, oh, I don't like the sound of that, or I don't need that, or yeah. And I would invite you to be kind of introspective around what you experienced when I was sharing this with you. Yeah. Our natural tendency is to say, oh, that's good, that's bad. We evaluate. Yeah. We put things into categories of that's a good thing, I like that, or I don't like that. Yeah. Go back to the debate last night. It's all that entire 90-minute thing was all about, do I like it or do I not like it? Does it land with me? Does it not land with me? Not why does it land with me? So my invitation to you is not just to kind of say, well, I resonated with this, but well, why did you resonate with this? What is it about your lived experience that made you resonate with that? Or what is it about your lived experience that had you kind of leaning back going, I don't like the sound of that. Doing a TED talk? Oh, I don't want to do that. Huh? So I open the floor and I would love to hear from y'all. And don't be shy, because otherwise
we're gonna pick on Tracy first.
Love you,
Yeah.
Marla.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, I guess I can do this in a unique way, because I can just share an experience that I'm kind of living through right now. So I just returned to a workplace that I worked for 10 years, left for almost 5, and recently returned. It is a completely new team with very little experience and knowledge of a large institution that I work in. So I tend to be the go-to for everything, from how to print, where is this located, to, supporting the president, to training, to donor relationships, and the list can go on and on. So I'm struggling because my knowledge makes everybody's life easier, except for my own. And we all know that sharing knowledge doesn't often stop at a 5-minute conversation. You usually get drawn into a larger process and meetings and meetings and meetings. And I've had to push back and decline meetings because I just can't be involved in everything. So a little bit longer of an answer that I wanted to give, but so a lot of the things that you said apply to me in some way because of the current situation that I'm in. And I need to find a way out. I love being the center of everything. I love being involved in all of these conversations, but it's getting me in trouble. So.
And it's taking you further away from the thing that truly lights you up.
Oh, absolutely. I literally forget what I'm supposed to be doing because I get dragged into all these different areas. So,
yeah.
But it's difficult not to, because I know that I have the answers that people are seeking. So it's the challenge that I have. I'm a little bit of a people pleaser, but it means that I have zero time for myself. So
yeah.
And I'm not going to meet my own goals by doing that, right? Which is the really big thing. And Marla and I've had multiple conversations about this, so that's probably why she picked on me. We talked about this at Icon, right? It's next to impossible with very little resources and knowledge in the department to meet my own goals and to stay within my own lane. I'm in everybody's lane. I'm everywhere.
What's so beautiful about what you've just shared there, Tracy, is that I reckon everybody on this call can resonate with at least a part of what you just shared. Yeah.
I saw a lot of nodding heads. So
yeah, whether it's that notion that we have a people pleaser character that likes to show up, that sort of makes us feel good about ourselves, but actually does that character really serving the bigger picture of why we're here? Yeah, I love that. So I'll point to a couple of things. One thing we'll talk about, and I use the word character deliberately, is which characters are showing up. Who are we being if we're not just being one person, but we actually have a multitude of hats that we can wear, different personalities that we can be, different characters that we can play. Yeah. This people-pleasing character tends to want to come to the front of the stage quite a lot, and that has an impact. Yeah, very nice.
I'm the person that goes to meetings and says I'm not going to sign up for anything, and then I end up like pairing the group by the end of the conversation. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, got it.
And I know you guys are all the same, so I'm allowed to say that about myself.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy. Let's hear from somebody else. Claire, what landed for you?
I think just similar to what Tracy shared, just that idea of being pulled in many directions, and even what you kind of shared at the beginning of it. We're going through some transition right now and just reorienting some of our goals and thinking about those, balancing like the day-to-day with the bigger goals and these new goals and trying to figure out how it all works together. That's that resonated.
Yeah, figuring out how to juggle all of those things at the same time without dropping the plates, but actually really what you need is a bigger plate because it just keeps coming at you. Am I hearing that right? Yeah, got it. Thank you. What about Dana?
I would say that mine probably aligns closely with Claire. We're both at the same institution. So feeling some of those changes in terms of where our focus is and, what moving forward, what will be the projects that we take on and how they fit into this larger picture. And so it's definitely the things that resonated with me were, hearing more about that focus and that clarity that this course brings, especially kind of that task related and looking at individual tasks. And I think how that all fits into your larger work and.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. I'm interested, Steph, Christine, and Kim, feel free to jump in with any personal experiences of I know that at least one of you will resonate with the people pleaser character, but I'm not going to call you out. About how you have been able to through the program start to have a different perspective on that. So I invite the three of you to jump in as and when. Thank you, Dana. Marla.
I have a question for Stephanie, Christine, and Kim. What was the most surprising part of the course for you? Like, because you kind of go into a course with expectations, I feel like, And then while you're kind of going through that journey, like I remember Jon said earlier in the discussion that you usually find something out about yourself that you hadn't already realized. But was there something along the way that you learned that you're like, I really need to take that with me, and I've never spent time or space in that area?
Who's going to jump in first?
It's a great question. I think there's a lot of things in throughout the entire session of different, and each session brings something different. It was for me, the biggest thing was finding the capacity to do all of the things, and recognizing where my strengths are and where I was trying to do things that really should be done or could be done by someone else, and that they have those strengths in, and recognizing that in my colleagues as well. I know, as Tracy said, in terms of that knowledge of where things are, it lands with you. For me, there's a lot of things where either the knowledge has gone, it's not even with our organization anymore, so we are all pulling together pieces of things, and recognizing that there is a lot of information that I don't have to go searching for, and that someone else might have that strength, and that what task might take me 2 hours to do could take someone else 2 or 5 or 10 minutes, and that I'm spinning my wheels trying to do things for myself, that I actually can rely on others, and that I have strengths that they might be able to lean on as well, that I can bring to the table that either I didn't realize I had, or maybe I didn't know, but didn't have the confidence to speak up and stand up and say, well, I can do that. That's something that I can bring to you, and also that I don't have to be able to do all of it, and I can lean on others to take some of that burden off of me.
I'll jump in. I think that if I can speak for the team, because we did it as a team, and I think that's the value, that you're doing it with your colleagues. So what happens, and as I alluded to earlier, you start to learn things about your colleagues because of some of the exercises we delved into that you had no idea. So first of all, you learn more about what's making someone across the hall tick that you had no idea. So those are wonderful resources when you're trying to work together as a team. And then another exercise or something that happened, sort of evolved through the sessions, were also you got a sense of how other people perceive you. And I think, you go about your business all day, but you now all of a sudden you're hearing what people you work with are seeing, and it's either wonderful, it's validating something you already know, or something that I didn't know I was portraying that particular trait. So I feel like doing it as a team was very valuable because you're learning about yourself, but also your teammates.
Kim, I really like that, especially because like most of us work with donors and stakeholders, and we want to be communicating an image and a way with others, and so I think that's really neat for me.
Yeah. I just want to add, coming into this, like I said, I was burnt out. I spent a lot of time in my head. What actually surprised me was how quickly the answers to what is your purpose, what is your vision, like how quickly those came to me, because I came into this thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna have to think long and hard about what it is. But Jon sort of teaches you to tap into that, and you learn to listen to yourself, like you're within your body, as that sort of gut response. So that surprised me, how quickly those answers came. And with that, I learned that I could trust myself a little bit more instead of overthinking and trying to be perfect in everything, that I could trust my gut. And another one of the tools is, once you've discovered what that purpose is being mindful in the moment. So if you're in a challenging situation or unsure of what to do next, you ask yourself, how can I best serve my purpose in this moment? Listen to yourself of what that answer is, because it all of that is from within. And that helps you lean further into your purpose and carrying that out in your day.
And just to piggyback on what Christine said there in terms of how does acting or what that next step is or that solution is based on your purpose, recognizing those behavioral patterns that don't serve you and that just become that easy crutch and weren't serving you or aren't serving you currently, and that stepping into that purpose space, the decisions you make or the next steps become the right ones and are not necessarily what you're seeing. You kind of blinders on, we kind of just keep on going, and taking that down and saying, okay, no longer letting that crutch be where I live, using that purpose to be that, okay, and recognizing moving forward what that looks like and how that impacts everyone around you in a positive way, and obviously yourself as well.
Thanks, Steph.
Did we pass John?
Sorry?
Did we pass John?
I think you've brought up the value of doing this in a team, and I would invite all of you to think about who are you working with, where if they were to come into the space and you were to do this together, you know that it would serve you both. Yeah. Who could you enroll into this space so that you could do it together? Because you can do this and it will impact, for sure, I promise you it will impact your life in a positive way. It will impact the quality of your work and the impact that you can make in the world. But Kim and Steph and Christine have brought out a really important point, that if you can bring the people who you work with into this space and enroll them together, then you get to go through this with a couple of people, and that amplifies the impact you're going to be able to make in your organization. So I would encourage you to do that, and let's fill these cohorts and really lift the level of what we can get up to, and let's create spaces where we're not struggling anymore. That would be my hope for all of you, is come into this space and let's shift the paradigm from I am surviving to I am thriving, and we are surviving to we are thriving, because we can do that. It's here, and my invitation to you is let's come and do this together. It will be fun. It will be challenging. There will be moments that will be uncomfortable. But I like the discomfort, sort of liken the discomfort to when you go shopping with a friend or a partner and they pull something out for you. Like you go clothes shopping and they pull something out for you and you're like, I would never wear that. I'm not going to wear that. I don't like the color. I'm never going to. They say, go try it on. And you say, all right, I'll go and try it on. You go and try it on and you're like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. And you come out and they're like, that's a keeper. And you go, oh, all right. And the first time you wear it, you get so many great comments on it. You're like, okay, wow, clearly they saw something here that I didn't see. Yeah, you're going to have moments like that. So being willing to try things on and come into the space. And yeah, this is leadership, but it's leadership in a different way. It's not the 7 habits of whatever it is and the 5 things that you must do before breakfast and let's meditate and then let's go for a run. This is leadership that's about who we be as human beings and getting us out of the patterns that are not serving us and getting us into spaces that are serving us. So with that, I'm going to shut up. Does anybody have any more questions? No, I would be interested for a straw poll of you who are here. Who's going to sign up? Who's in? Who is in?
Once I find the resources, I'm in.
Okay, beautiful.
The same. Once we find the resources, I've actually put a request in. Mind you, they've just only recently, I put in a request to have my AFP membership renewed 8 weeks ago, and I just got the approval yesterday. So, but you have a great course. I was very interested. I am interested.
Who else? Celeste.
No, sorry, I can't this fall, but I am interested because thinking about it as possibly for some of my team members or clients who might be interested. So, yeah, I think it's a great program. It's just my fall's crazy.
Cool.
Thanks.
Should we set up a call with Marla? Should we set up a call with Celeste and see how we can support in that conversation?
Let me circle back. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Anybody else? All the people off camera. Claire, Dana, Mackenzie. And this is about understanding what's in the space for you. What are the barriers? Is the content landing? Are you excited about this? Are you excited about it, but kind of scared and wanting to step back on it? Are you like, no, this is not for me, got it? Is this a financial barrier? So my question is about understanding what might be in the space that then maybe with Marla, we can look at how do we remove some of those barriers. So I'm hearing the financial barrier is definitely one, a resource barrier. What else, Peter?
Time from work. I'm in a new role, and I'm not sure that I'd be released, but I'm very interested in it if I can be.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Anybody else? Well, thank you for coming today. Thanks for being here. Let's see what we can get up to together. Marla, back to you.
Great. Well, thanks for coming, John. Thanks for telling us more about the course. Special thanks to Christine, Kim, and Stephanie for sharing your experience so that we have a better idea of some of the takeaways and knowledge learned that each of you have. So just thank you for taking time out. If there's someone that you can think of that would make sense or find value in this course, feel free to reach out. You all know how to get a hold of us, and we will happily answer any follow-up questions and support you in the financial journey if you so need that.
Wonderful. Have a great rest of the day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.